Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Mr. Reality and joined by psychic medium Liz Cross. Liz, I understand that on your planet Earth this weekend, there was some kerfuffle in the U.S. presidential election process. How are you?
Uh, well, I am good. Thank you. And thank you for doing this probe. I really appreciate it.
Well, we'll see where it leads us. Currently president, at least as we're recording this, we should say, the president of the United States is President Joseph Robinette Biden. And I wonder if we could bring in the mind, if we can find it, of President Joe Biden.
Robinette is his middle name.
Yes.
I had no idea. Okay. Um, I don't know why that shocks me. Robinette. Okay, I have him here, but it's always difficult to probe him. You have to get him first thing in the morning. It's a bit too late in the day. It's now what, 11 o'clock Central. So,
Well, America's wondering if he has COVID still, if he's okay.
do you have COVID? No, he doesn't have COVID.
Okay, he's recovered. That's good. We're glad that he has recovered from. Did he
Wait
ever
a
have
minute.
COVID?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Has he recovered? He's not sick.
He said he had COVID and he had to stop his campaign last week.
That was a stalling tactic. This man is not
Oh,
sick. And were you sick last week? No, that was just to stall out.
okay. I saw him as a super spreader at a number of different events on Twitter, so I'm glad that those people are safe and they don't have to shelter in place. He's decided not to run. When did this decision come forth?
When did you decide not to run? About 5 minutes before he put the message out. Okay.
Okay, so did he actually decide to run or was it decided for him not to run?
Was that your choice? No, he's pointing at Jill. This is a frequent occurrence. Okay. Whenever you probe Biden, he always points to Jill. He usually answers a couple of questions and then he points to her. So I'm going to have to probe her.
Well, this
Uh,
is going to joebiden.com. It now forwards me to this statement of Kamala Harris. So, when did she get notified that she would be the Democratic presidential nominee?
when did you get notified? I'm asking her, when did you get notified that you would be the Democratic nominee? 2 weeks ago.
Oh, the decision had been made. I understand that the staffers from President Biden were notified on Twitter and not by their boss. Is that true?
Were the staffers notified on Twitter? No. Okay. No, they knew beforehand. Like, let me grab the staffers as an entity, right? This is a lot of moving parts in this probe. Were you notified after the statement? No. Okay. They just said to me, we threatened to walk.
Oh, they threatened to walk where? Out? Protest?
You threatened to protest? No, leave permanently. Why did you threaten to leave permanently? After you received the news? No, before. That's how they got him to resign. Okay. They said, I know you, let me just double check. They said they will walk out. They will not serve under an incompetent leader who is directionless. This is them, not me. Okay. I can only tell you what they say word for word, even though you're going to spew it all out in the comments. Good grief. Um, they threatened to walk out. It's the only way they could force him out of the White House.
And what prompted that decision that they had to walk out? They said he was leaderless, but had they not seen him and they not heard from him?
What prompted that decision for you guys to say you were going to walk out? It's been a long time coming. This is something that's been brewing for a long time. They just needed their moment to threaten, right?
Okay. When did they know on the timeline in the calendar this year or last year or even the year before about this, his state?
When did you know on the timeline? Like, so this has been something brewing all year. They knew that he was mentally incapacitated. He wasn't fit. They're telling me their personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, not mine, not Mr. Realities. Okay. We just report the facts. Um, they've been in secret talks of how are we going to remove him? This trying to convince him to leave is and resign is nothing new. This has been going on for months, but they needed the public support, okay? Because they're saying to me, if they didn't have the public support, it would have totally backfired on them. They would have been seen as evil and deranged and bullying an old man, right? Elder abuse, but they said we needed the public to see what we were seeing because there were too many cover-ups. Were you taking part in the cover-up? And yes, they were. They were told to take part in the cover-up or they would lose their jobs.
So this is the whitehouse.gov briefing room statements and releases. There's still no statement from the president on his resignation. That was just done on Twitter, which I find surprising that it's not on whitehouse.gov. Who's responsible for putting that letter out? This is the person that allegedly wrote the letter, Steve Ricchetti. Did Steve Ricchetti actually write, and when did he write Biden's resignation letter?
Did you write Biden's resignation letter? No, Jill wrote that.
It struck me as being written by an artificial intelligence. So was it really Jill, or did she ask one of the AIs to write it for her?
Okay, so let's ask Jill. We're bouncing all over the place today, folks. Did you write the letter for of resignation for Twitter? Yes, she did. Did you use AI? No. Hunter. Hunter used AI. Hunter helped input it.
Did Hunter use artificial intelligence to write the letter?
Okay, now I'm going to Hunter. This is like mind probing. It's a three-ring circus here. Okay, did you use AI to write the letter? He always uses AI to compose everything he does. Yes.
I thought so. When I read it, I'm like, this is written by an AI. I didn't even run it through an AI algorithm. I just looked at it and said, there's no way a person wrote this. So, was Hunter instrumental in helping convince his father to step aside, or was he trying to get him to stay in office?
Were you instrumental in help telling your father to step aside? No, they wanted to keep him there, right? All of them. Jill, Hunter, and Biden himself. They did not want to budge. Why didn't you want to budge? Because they're going to lose money. But his salary is not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. It's all the backdoor deals. Okay. His words, not mine, not Mr. Realities. I have no idea what that means. Backdoor deals. No clue.
Well, I think it's deals that come through the back door, I would assume. Does he want to share any other agencies of those backdoor deals or governments or countries that he's working with that he's specifically afraid of coming out?
Iran, Saudi Arabia, China, Ukraine, not Russia.
I was waiting to interject until we were done because the list just kept on coming. Does Hunter believe his father will serve out his candidacy, or will he not continue? There's a website here, polymarket.com, which tracks trends. Will Biden announce his resignation before July 31st? Will Biden announce his resignation before the election, according to Hunter?
According to Hunter. Hunter, would you say that your dad is going to publicly announce his resignation? I mean, he doesn't want to. He's embarrassed. The whole family's embarrassed, but he's being told that it's appropriate to do so in the public sphere. So go back to his speechwriter, if you don't mind. I'm sorry, we're jumping all over the place.
Sure, this is Steve Ricchetti.
So, Steve, are you preparing an official public announcement speech for Biden's resignation? Yes, he is.
And so will Kamala Harris become president of the United States, the 47th president then?
Are you asking me or are you asking Steve?
Oh, let's ask Steve Ricchetti, since he seems to know behind the scenes. He's a speechwriter for Biden. He's a longtime historian, biographical author.
Do you think that Kamala Harris will become the nominee for president? He says yes. And don't forget, this is today's personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. This is such a fast moving situation that it can change at any moment. But today, as of Monday, July 22nd, 2024, right? This is today's personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. So as it stands today, she is going to be the nominee. But he just said to me, overall, the Democrats will decide who is best to put forth.
My gut says she will not be the nominee, but that's just my gut and what it's telling me today. Also, that could change too. I wanted to see if we could. There's also whitehouse.gov. I posted it before, but I can't find it now. But the president has stopped all of his events for this week. The president will no longer be meeting with foreign dignitaries. He will not be meeting with any rally events. How is his general mood and health, Dr. Joseph Biden? Not
Is he
Dr. Jill Biden, but Joe Biden. He's not a doctor. I made that up.
right? I know there's so many people here. It's hard to keep track. Okay, so let's ask Jill. How is the mood? Disgusted, right? She is absolutely furious. Why are you furious? Because they feel like everybody's turned on them. They're practically being told to pack their bags and get out. Is that really the case? It feels like it, she says. They've all turned against us. Every single one of them. She's like, as she says that, she's pointing like, like, I'm sorry about the sound effects. God, that's reminiscent of the recent assassination attempt. But she's pointing like this one and this one and this one and this one. And I don't trust anybody. I'm not talking to anybody. They're furious. So let's ask Joe how he feels about it. How do you feel about it? I don't feel like he really cares. Like, he's lost that ability to connect deeply with emotions and feelings. Okay. Now, I do feel that he can become aggressive and frustrated more so later in the day, is what I'm picking up on. And that's because he's trying to formulate things in his mind and it's not coming out very well. And that's where the frustration is. It's not that he can't think, it's that there's a disconnect between the thought process and actually getting it out there. Okay, so that's where he becomes aggressive and frustrated. And he does become a little enraged. I can see him throwing something. And he does get angry, but I'm saying, are you angry over the fact that you are now being forced out of the White House? I mean, it's actually, you're not going to believe it. It's doing him a favor. That's what he just said to me. It's doing me a favor. I could not keep this up. It's too hard, right? So this is seen by him as something very positive. Do you believe that you were being used and abused? And he just said, he didn't say use and abuse. Yes, he said manipulated. Do you believe that you were being manipulated? The story of my life, he says. I've always been manipulated.
Who does he feel is pulling the strings at this moment?
Who do you feel is pulling the strings at this moment? Jill.
And who's pulling her strings?
Ooh. Who is pulling your strings, Jill? Jill, is anyone pulling your strings? There's no one really pulling her strings. She's just under so much pressure. They actually want to run and hide. Do you want to stay in the US right now? Personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. We don't even want to stay in the US. We hate this country. Okay, but that's her anger. That's how she feels right now. I'm sure as time goes on, that'll be a different story. That's the immediate knee jerk reaction today.
But don't they appreciate everything that the country has given to them?
Don't you appreciate everything the country has given to you? No, she's very angry. Not, no, we've given to them.
Does Joseph Biden believe that he will finish his term?
Do you believe that Joe will finish his term? No, they're trying to get rid of that too. They're trying to make us leave. Are you would have they given you a date? Yes, the end of July. So she, based upon her personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, they basically told them. Let me just double check this. They basically told you have to leave by the end of July. Yes, there'll be a
Does
protest and a uproar.
does Joe Biden really have a 6 handicap at golf? I think America wants to know.
Even know what that means. Like, why would you want
It means
any?
that you're given 6 strokes on the front and back side, so 3 strokes per side. He thinks he can shoot only 3 above par. So Biden thinks he can break 80, and he said he could break 80 when he was vice president. So when's the last time he went golfing, and does he really have a 6 handicap? Or does he just remember this from like the 70s and think that it's now?
Do you actually have a 6 handicap? He's terrible golf player. Do you actually have a 6 handicap? He doesn't know. He doesn't know. When was the last time you played golf? Yesterday. I'm like, really?
In his brain or
No.
in like in
No,
his head?
you could say that, but he could be putting around the White House, right? So let's ask this question. Were you putting around the White House? Yeah, he has like there's a putting room apparently in the White House. I didn't know
Oh
that.
yeah, my nephew used to have one of those when he was a child. Yeah. Um, so what is his confidence level in Kamala Harris as his now namesake to carry on all of his policies?
What is your confidence level with Kamala Harris to carry out all of your policies? Totally incompetent. He doesn't like her. Now, I don't want to go into it. I almost did a video last
We'll do
week.
that in a Harris probe.
Hold on. With Mr. Shakespeare about how JD Vance feels about Trump. Okay, but we've decided we'll do it a few months down the line. Just putting it out there. Sorry, what was the question?
Uh, does he feel that Kamala Harris will continue on his policies?
No, she's completely incompetent. He's telling me his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. She's easily led. She's a follower, not a leader. This is shocking to her. She is not one to be in the limelight. She likes to hide behind the scenes and just be sort of a support. She does not make decisions very well.
Don't you need to do that as the leader of the free world?
Don't you need to do that? We all do that. And I'm like, well, who helped you make decisions? Jill. Did Hunter help you make decisions? Always.
Does he feel that he can continue to be in office until the election?
Do you feel that you can continue to be in office until the election? No, they want us out of here, he said. And he whispered that. They want us out of here. This probe's hilarious. Okay. It's like he's scared that somebody else is listening. I'm like, mate, there's no one here but me and you.
Well, and all of your followers, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it out there. This here it is. The president's schedule canceled. Out of town roll call. No public events. Official schedule. This has been canceled. Everything has been rescheduled. No public events. So upcoming, there's nothing on the schedule for the president. Is he going to be doing any live appearances this week to help support his new candidate, Kamala Harris?
To be doing Kamala Harris. Not at the moment. Nothing planned as we're recording this video. They're just in panic mode. Like, where are we going? What are we doing? But don't forget what I said. He personally, personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, which, I'm really glad for him. He feels a sense of relief. Okay. He really does. This is too much for him. And he couldn't keep this up. And he just feels, thank God it's over. I really feel sorry for him.
Well, that's one way to look at it, I suppose.
Yeah, as
Um,
I tune into him, he is not a obviously, you don't need to be a psychic to know that. But as I tune in, he's not a well man. You have to think of him as like, what if this was your relative, right? Or elderly relative or elderly father, grandfather?
that's
Would
what
you,
sanitariums are for. Yeah.
but would you want somebody to do this to your relative when they're not well? No, you wouldn't.
Does he feel like he's done a good job as president for the country? Does he,
You feel like you've done a good job as president for the country? No, I'm told what to do.
by whom?
By whom? The whole circle. There's lots of people involved in his decision making, right? It's whatever people want. And he just seems to sign on the dotted line.
Is he controlled by any type of alien entities? Someone asked. I don't know why
Ooh.
this guy keeps asking about aliens.
Well, there was some conspiracy theory about him being a lizard. But what they have to remember is the Lizard Federation doesn't age. So he's
I
definitely
think he'd be
not a
more
lizard,
agile as a lizard person.
right? A
I mean, look
reptilian.
at the queen, right? So
Right. I mean, she's not a lizard either, because she died. And the Lizard Federation goes on and on and on well after the human race is dying out, because their energy, they're not physical form. Okay, so the question is, I'm so sorry. What again?
So what if we can bring in Corinne Jean Pierre and find out when she knew about the new change at the top of the ticket?
Yeah.
The White House press secretary.
Oh, she's a firecracker. She is. Okay, when did you find out? I've always known. What do you mean you've always known? Wait a minute. I haven't even finished asking you the question. I don't need to hear your question. She's arguing with me. Wait a minute. What do you mean you don't need to hear my question? I already know what you're going to say, Liz. Just get on with it. Okay. So I'm like, stop, take a breath, and let me ask the question. When did you find out that Biden was resigning? Weeks ago. Weeks ago, I knew they were going to stage a walkout. Were you part of that walkout? Yes, I am. So she's part of the walkout.
Why is she? Was she leading that walkout?
No,
Did
she was
the
not
debate?
leading the walkout. I feel like the chief of staff.
Did the debate performance really change her tune, or had she been feeling like that for a long time?
With the debate performance. Here she goes, answering before I ask you. Stop. Um, did the debate? I need to put some duct tape over her mouth for a moment. Stop. Did the debate performance make you feel? No, they felt like this for a long time. She says this is a long time coming. Again, sort of saying along the same lines as we heard just a few minutes ago from somebody in the circus, that they needed the public to be on their side because the public doesn't understand. They're not looking in. They're not seeing the inner workings of what's going on. Somebody tying a bib around his neck when he's eating.
All right, but my question to her is, when did you know?
When did you know? Was it on the day? Before the announcement? How did you know that? Was it did you guys give Joe an ultimatum? Absolutely. Did you all turn up en masse? No. We had a letter with all of our signatures telling him that we would all stage a mass walkout. You were going to stage a mass walkout? Yes, we were. And that he could not run the White House and the country if he has no staff, right? We and I'm saying, but why did you all come up with this letter? The chief of staff wrote this letter, by the way. If you
Well, I
could
thought
pull
you
it up.
said that Biden or Hunter Biden wrote the letter.
No, Hunter Biden wrote the resignation. Okay. This is where they were orchestrating a walkout. They were orchestrating some sort of walkout because of Biden's incompetence. So the staffers were going to walk out. They were going to demonstrate and refuse to go back to work and work under someone who was so incompetent. So she's telling me there was a letter, and the letter was had all of their signatures on it that they would all resign if he did not. So you cannot run a country with no staff.
All right. I want to know from her, when did she know that President Biden was not up to the task? You said before, but was it in 2024? Was it in 2023? Was it in 2022?
When did you know that he wasn't up to the job? 23, the tail end, around the tail end of 23. We noticed he was declining very fast, rapidly, she says, and there was no stopping it.
Is she in charge of the POTUS Twitter, or is there a staff member that tweets that stuff out? Because still here, there is nothing on his Twitter, the POTUS Twitter, about it, just the Joe Biden Twitter. So this is the official Twitter of the president, and yet there's no announcement of his resignation that I see,
Are you
or he's stepping down.
are you in charge of the Twitter account? No, no. Who is in charge of the Twitter account? Their personal assistant, the family's personal assistant.
Well, what is she, her person, let's go back to Corinne. What are her personal thoughts and feelings about Vice President Kamala Harris?
What are your personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions about Kamala Harris? She's a fraud.
Will she be supporting Vice President Harris for president, or is she going to petition for somebody else at the Democratic National Convention?
Supporting Kamala Harris? Well, if I have to, she says, or will you suggest somebody else? She goes, no, I'm trying to just keep my nose clean. She doesn't want to be a part of this, right? She's just to go with the flow. She does her job. Listen, she's very fiery. She does her job and she leaves, right? She's very good at compartmentalizing. Okay, so I've got to do this, and this doesn't mix with that, and that doesn't mix with this, and I can move on swiftly. That's how I'm picking up with her personality. And she just does her job, doesn't think about the particulars, doesn't contemplate about it. She moves on to something else.
All right, let's go back to Joseph Biden, if he's still with us, if we can ask him a few more closing questions. What are his personal thoughts about the future of the country? And I guess, well, when did he realize he wasn't up to the job anymore? Was it this year, or does he still think he's up to the job?
Do you think you're up to the job? No, he wanted out about a year ago, but he was pressured to maintain and to keep going. But he doesn't feel well, right? It's too much for him. It's exhausting. And he wanted out about a year ago. This has gone on for far too long, he says.
How's his physical health?
How's your physical health? It's in serious decline. He's got all sorts of problems.
Well, we wish the former, once and current, and possibly past, soon to be president well. It's hard to know what to call him, if he's a sitting president or a standing president or an exiting president. I don't know what the correct vernacular is anymore at this point.
Well, I think the biggest question from outside the US that I'm seeing in the UK papers and abroad is who's running the country, right? Because looking in, it doesn't look like anybody's running the country. Well, I hope that they don't use this as an opportunity to do what they want to do. You know what I mean? So this is pretty, it's a scary, it's tumultuous, it's kind of on edge for the US right now. I mean, we're laughing about it and it's very different and it'll go down in the history books, but who really is running the country? Because as I tune into the Bidens, they're over it. They're done. They're not doing another thing for this country, right? He doesn't even want to finish out the job. They just want to leave.
Don't let the door hit you. Thank you very much, everybody. We will talk to you next time.
You know they're going to get you for that one.
I know, but I mean, you said it. You're my straight man there. I'm just laying the jokes.
I know you are laying the jokes. I can't wait to probe how many gunmen are there, right? Because I think the answer will surprise you, but we'll see if we get into it. I don't want to obsess over this whole thing. I just like to mind probe this one and that one, get the facts, get the truth, get a better understanding, what's what, and move on. All right. So thanks for this. We appreciate it. Don't forget, guys, Mr. Reality, he put this probe together for all of you and without any prompting or questions and well, you did have some questions fly through the door, but you did a great job and he does have a tip jar down below. Show some love. He is well worth it.
Bye, everyone.